A very warm welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mauni. I hope you all are doing good. Dear friends, today we are going to ask a question to ourselves. I'm sure many a times we are exposed to such a situation in our life that we have to wait and ask either ourselves or we have to ask our society or nation that is Mahatma's philosophy relevant today. But before moving ahead, please allow me to introduce all of you to our pendrive and tablet courses. Now, StudyIQ presents different pendrive and tablet courses for all different exams like SSC, Bank, UPSC and other government exams. And the good thing about this pendrive and tablet courses is that they are designed by the best faculty of our country. So what you get here is going to be top of the range and it will help you a lot with your preparation. If you haven't got it, to get it as soon as possible, and if you want to know more about it, all you have to do is give us a call on this number, or you can check out our studyiq.com website as well, on which you will find UPSC test series and other important items too. Right, dear friends, so a question, right? And this is not a question that is only, say for example, bothering you. It is also a question that is very near and dear to the heart of UPSC that conducts Civil Services Examination. And why I'm saying this, don't take my word, don't believe me, just go through the past papers and you will find that every year in your mains examination, may it be in form of an essay topic or may it be in form of general studies questions, you will find at least one question, right? At least one question in your mains examination. There are high chances that you could be asked about Gandhiji's philosophy, his life, whether he was valid, not valid, or what if Gandhiji was not there, etc., etc. They can also ask you questions like what about the current problems that through which the world is going on and how Gandhi can provide a solution. This sort of questions can be asked easily in your interview as well. And if you have a sound understanding or in-depth understanding of this particular topic, then you'll be able to easily tackle these sort of questions. And prelims examination, of course, you find questions most of the history questions are from independence or the India's struggle for independence, and you find questions based on Gandhiji in this section as well of your prelims. So in short, we can say that Gandhiji is a sort of topic that is evergreen in terms of your examination, and recently we know that recently, that means a couple of days ago, we celebrated his birthday. It is not just I mean to say that it is not just in India that his birthday was celebrated. It was in United Nations as well. It is also the 2nd October is known as International Day of Non-Violence. So this was celebrated by United Nations, and it was celebrated in different parts of the world. Many countries actively celebrated Mahatma Gandhiji's birthday. So let's inquire, let's see where we will reach. We'll discuss some things, and it is going to be a bit different from regular lectures because we are going to ask more questions, and from these questions we will try to find out whether he is valid today or not. So United Nations, as we know, celebrated his birthday, and if you go through the recently conducted United Nations General Assembly, if you go to the summary of this United Nations General Assembly, and not just the 2017 one, but if you go back to the previous year ones or maybe 2015 ones or 2014 one, then you will find that there are two topics, right? There are two challenges which are recognized by United Nations, and it is considered as the biggest threat to humanity and biggest threat to, in fact, the whole planet. One is, of course, a challenge that is impacting all the flora and fauna and all sorts of life, all forms of life on this earth, and one is particularly dedicated towards human beings. It is destroying humanity, and of course when humanity gets destroyed, then the other flora and fauna do gets disturbed as well. So violence, right? Terrorism, violence, all this sort of things, war is going on for the longest period of time. We are living in such a world that it is in such a mess. If you go through the terrorist attack that are taking place around the world, we know that for the longest period of time India and Pakistan are in a sort of conflict, and this conflict is not a sort of official war that we know or that we understand. It is a sort of proxy war that is going on, but there is nothing we can do about it because Pakistan is using a sort of terrorism. It is using sleeper cells and these infiltrators and intruders who are constantly finding out, they are constantly looking for an opportunity through which they can strike our nation. Then we know the situation, the war sort of situation going in Yemen, in Syria. You know the situation, the tensions going on in the Korean Peninsula, and because of that, you have issues in Japan and USA and other countries. The competition between USA and Russia is also behind many of the evil that we see today, like terrorism and Mujahideen fighters and all these things, right? Or has its roots in greed of human beings and greed of nations. Apart from that, dear friends, terrorist attack, if we think about terrorist attack, then one thing is quite shocking, that terrorism has become globalized as well. Earlier, there were few countries that were suffering from this thing, and India was one of them. India used to tell the world community that this is something that everyone should be worried about. But at that point of time, the world community was saying that this is your law and order situation. This is nothing called terrorism. It is your law and order problem. Sort it out by yourself. But now, even the European countries are recognizing it, and it was after 9/11 when USA also started paying attention to this thing called terrorism. And at present, we can say that there is no country in the world that is safe, right? No country. You'd be saying or arguing that I have never heard about Japan being attacked by terrorism, or terrorists have. I haven't heard anything like that in the country of Japan and other countries. Then let me tell you, the last major attack in Bangladesh, terrorist attack in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. At that point of time, there were many Japanese people who were targeted. If you go to the 26/11 attack, then on the upper level, it may look like it was an attack on Mumbai, or it was an attack on India. But these terrorists, right, they were knowing that in this Taj hotel, it is a sort of 5-star hotel, and you find people from all around the world here. So they were literally handpicking people. If you are from UK or USA, then they will kill you. This was the thing. So you can safely say that it is a sort of indirect attack on USA and Japan and other countries as well. And so it applies to the Paris attack as well, because Paris is known as for all these things that we have in our constitution, about which we take a pride, like freedom of speech and freedom of expression and other things, right? All these things originated after French Revolution, and attacking Paris is, of course, a symbol of attacking freedom of speech and expression. So in short, we can say that these things are definitely killing the whole humanity. If a terrorist is killing one person, then he or she is killing the whole humanity. And so is climate change. Climate change thing is getting so severe, the environment is degraded. We have reached to such a point that many scientists argue that we would not be able to restore our environment. We have reached at such a tipping point, and temperatures are going up, global warming. And even today, there are many countries, even today, there are many people in our country as well. They think that this is all mythical, there is a conspiracy going on behind it, and there is nothing called climate change or global warming. But let me tell you, this is a real thing, and it impacts each and every one of us. We might not be directly impacted from it, or we might not feel the direct impact of this thing, but let me give you an example of wheat production. Now, wheat, you find this in northern part of our country, that is in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh. In this part of our country, the wheat production is wheat are sown here, right? It is a major crop in these states, and wheat again is a very temperature sensitive crop. So if there is a sort of higher temperature during its production period, then the whole crop of this wheat may fail. And once the production is out, or you can say that when it fails, then it creates a sort of a big financial crunch for the farmer. And once farmer is going, once he has lost this wheat production or his complete yield, then the money that he has borrowed, he has to pay interest on it, and then he will be in a vicious cycle of poverty, which will bring more pain and sorrow for not only him but for the whole society. And that is one of the reasons why we are seeing so many farmers conducting or committing suicide. And this is, any farmer committing suicide is not an issue of a particular farmer, it is an issue of society, because he or she is affected by this global warming. There are holes in ozone layer, and because of which we find cancer and other diseases taking place in countries like New Zealand and Australia and other parts of the world, right? One-horned rhinoceros, we take pride that we find them only in Kaziranga National Park, but if you go back to some 100 years ago, then you find that they were found all across the northern belt. It means that we used to find them in Punjab and Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, but now they are found only in a small pocket of our country. Tigers, before 1900 we used to have more than 1 lakh tigers. Now they are in thousands. We have lost the natural cleaners of the nature, and they are vultures. 99% of them are gone, right? 99%. They are about to vanish forever. Sparrows, we don't find them anymore in our garden in the morning time. And in 1947, right, in terms of politics, we got independence from British Empire, but in terms of environment, we lost Indian cheetah forever. And this is in 2017. On a bigger picture, we say that we are living in a very sophisticated or very high technological world. Everything is easy in today's era, and things are fun, and we can develop, and etc., etc. And the development, this is the development in which we are living, and this is the development that we cherish. And this development is not creating jobs as well. We know that employment is it is not only about India, and I'm not here criticizing any one particular political party. This problem is faced throughout the world. All the problems, may it be Catalonian problem, may it be the caste problem or the reservation demand in our country, all these things, right, they have roots in employment and unemployment. People want a secure and people want a regular flow of income, and that is the reason why people were not happy with Obama administration, and that's the reason this was the promise that was given by Trump, and that is one of the reasons why he at present is president of America, because he said that I will provide you jobs, I will ensure that your jobs are not taken away or snatched away by other people, they are not going to other country. And this similar sort of vibe is observed in Britain as well, and that's one of the main reason why Brexit took place, right? So this is an international issue, unemployment. And in India, we know that 65% of our population is below 35. 65%. That's the reason why we call ourselves a very young nation. And what happens with what is happening, in fact, is that every month we have 10 lakh new laborers, right? 10 lakh new people are entering into the market, and they're looking for a new job. So if you multiply this 10 lakh by 12, then you find that every year we have 1 crore 20 lakh people that are seeking jobs. But the question is, are we able to create this many jobs? The answer is, we know it very well, a big no. We are not able to do that because we have adopted to machines. The way the things we are doing, we are just copy pasting things. We are not applying our mind as we should, because the new normal that is set by us itself is detrimental for our progress, and we are exploiting natural resources in such a way that it looks that there would be nothing left. If we have any future generation, then there would be nothing left for this future generation. And on the other side, we find that people are very much worried about their future generation, but we are not worried about the nature, and we forget that if we don't protect the nature, then there is not going to be any sort of future generation as well. And this is the thing, this are the things about which Gandhiji said. He clearly stated that it is a sort of blind rat race which will certainly destroy us, because the model that we have followed, the developmental model at present that is followed by the world over, is a sort of Western developmental model. And this Western developmental model, the biggest problem is that at its core, or at its in its root, you find economy is the base. What Karl Marx used to say, that any society, the whole structure of society depends on its economy. That's what Western model is all about. Let me elaborate a little bit, and I believe that this will help you understanding what I'm trying to say here. See, when I say economy, or when the Western model is saying that economy is the main base, so we are giving prime importance to economy, right? We are giving much emphasis to economy. GDP numbers are the thing that matters the most, and that's what we find at present in our country as well. At present, somewhere the growth rate is 5.7% of our country, India, and this is a big issue for people of our country. They are shouting, and Prime Minister has to give out his statements. Finance Minister is in a sort of damage control mode. Everyone is trying to pass a sort of thing that okay, everything will be fine, don't worry about it. World Bank has just came out with a statement that India is going to do fine. And why this is a big issue? Because economy is given the most importance, and what happens when we give too much emphasis on economy, then we forget about the other things. We forget about the humane touch that is required, the environmental, the things that we have to care about, environment and other things. We don't take that into consideration. So all the things that you can scale in terms of quantity, you would be looking after them, but all the things like quality things would be ignored, like clean air, clean water, and beautiful environment. This sort of things are not taken into consideration when we calculate GDP numbers. The other thing is that economic development, or when you have when economy is at the core of your developmental model, then if you take example of India, then we know that nearly 65% of our people are engaged, or our population is engaged in agriculture. Now, you know the situation of agriculture, that in India we still use traditional methods of farming. We are not using that many technology. When I say technology, it's not all about using all these digital gadgets and only one person is looking after 100 acres of land. I'm not talking about those sort of technologies. What I'm saying is that reasonably sophisticated technology is still not found in our agriculture, and this is one of the reasons why we are making this many huge amount of losses. And because too many people are engaged in agriculture, the size of the land is quite small. Everyone is having a small piece of land with them. These are some of the basic reasons why we are not able to make that much out of agriculture. So if the whole structure of our economy is such agricultural based economy, and even the agriculture is outdated or quite traditional, then you know it very well that the output is not going to be productive. And based on this thing, your human relations would be like that. Your family structure, you would be having larger families, because if you have extra pairs of hands, then they can help you with your farming. Your society would be designed in such a way, agriculture based society. Your calendars, in fact, your financial year, education, right? When your country is poor, then of course you are not paying that much tax. You are not able to pay that much tax, and if you are not able to pay that much tax, then government won't be having that many good schools and facility. And again, you would give more emphasis to, of course everyone wants their students, their kids, to get best education possible. But if you don't have money in your pocket, if you are just struggling to eat your 2 square meal, then of course school will take a back seat, education will take a back seat, isn't it? So this is the thing. And based on that, art, literature and culture as well would be, you won't find operas and expensive theaters at countryside, in the countryside, just like you find them in some of the developed countries like Austria and Finland and Sweden and England and other places. And the economy of these developed countries at present, like let's take example of UK or some other countries that are doing quite well, or generally speaking we can say that they are rich country. Now their economy is based on most of the people are engaged in services, in service sector, right? So finance, providing finance and technological support and engineering and all these things, are all these areas, or these are the businesses in which you find most of their people working. So they are of course making good amount of money out of it. Based on this thing, they have good education, because they are paying quite a good amount of tax to their people, to their country or their government, and the government is able to implement or bring all this latest technology in transportation and other things so they will develop quite fast. Their speed or pace of development would be fast as well. Political system, again, it would be difficult for politicians and political system to cheat people who are having money in their pocket. They have all the access to internet and books and libraries and other things, so they would be reasonably well aware in when we compare with the poor people of our country. So you have this sort of this is basically economy model. So you can understand that uh, two scenarios are here. One on one side you have developed country, and the other side you have a poor country like India. And when we are giving too much emphasis on this thing, we find that things are not as it should be. But Gandhiji's developmental model is about at its root, or at its heart, is humane society. He said whatever we are doing, right, may it be education, may it be economy, may it be religion, family, society, everything, in fact political system as well, it should have a human touch. You should ensure that you are, whatever you are doing, are you doing it with honesty, you are not cheating someone else. And your economy as well, if you are, say for example, using raw material, then you should take out only that much that is required. You should not suck away everything from mother nature. And over here, as economy is the main thing, so you are engaged in maximum profit. In this model, you want as much profit as possible, and here you are quite content and satisfied. So this is the biggest difference, and what we have missed in our country and what world has missed as well is that we have taken a wrong sort of model. We have not taken the right one, which is quite necessary at this point of time when we compare this with what's going on around us. And talking about Gandhiji and his truth and non-violence thing, it is of course I must highlight here that it is not limited to physical non-violence. Generally we believe that it was the British people who used to come and they used to hit our people who were demanding freedom. Of course that is right as well. That was a sort of physical non-violence that was conducted on our people. But this non-violence, the concept of non-violence of Gandhiji is not limited to physical non-violence. It is on the thought level as well, and it applies to all spheres of life. It applies to the political system as well, as I told you. And today we see that we are missing this thing, totally missing this thing. Divide and rule was used at that point of time as well by the British people, and today as well we see many politicians, many political party are clearly using this strategy of divide and rule, right? They are always in search of a sort of an opportunity. And remember, in our country we had all this bomb blast and Babri Masjid case and other things. People are ready to throw bombs in churches and places of worship. So is this the country in which we are living? Is this the country of Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Buddha? This is seriously, we have to think about it. This cannot be a new normal. We cannot accept this thing. We cannot tolerate this sort of things. And hate and intolerance in colleges and universities, we find we have recently seen what happened in BHU University, earlier on in other universities as well. Politics and other things, they are exploiting, they are creating a sort of fear. They are seeding fear, and then they are providing solution for this fear. They will tell you that this is the community that is going to be a big danger for all of us. So if you elect me, if I come in power, then I will ensure that they are kept. There is a sort of cap on them or their activities. So this is the situation. We know it very well, and I'm sure I don't have to explain this thing because this is something, it is very common, isn't it? It is very easy to identify this sort of things. But when we come to economic system, and when Gandhiji says that there should be non-violence in economic system as well, then you'd be thinking, what sort of non-violence? We know that we extract too much of natural resources, but when you focus on these things and when you analyze this marketing that is going on at present, right, all the advertisement, if you observe the advertisement, then you find that they are designed by some of the best psychological the people who are designing it, right, the marketing people, they have a good knowledge about how our mind works, right? They associate cars and chocolates and other things with happiness, right? And naturally we know that every person in this world is seeking happiness. Generally speaking, everyone is seeking happiness, And when you associate something or you present it in such a way that if you don't have that thing, then you are missing something in your life. This in fact is one of the reason why there is so much greed, right? They have created such a greed, and it is the poor people who cannot. When I say poor people, I don't mean financially poor in the sense in terms of not able to distinguish or discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. Most of the advertisement you find that, when I say most of, I really mean most of them, are all fake promises, right? They are all fake promises. They give you a sort of fake promise, or they try to they want you to associate yourself with that particular brand, and you become their brand ambassador, and you promote their things. And even smartphones and other gadgets that we are using, I'm not saying that one should not use it, right? Not at all. I am not anti-technology, not at all. But what I'm saying is that the smartphones and the games and other things are designed in such a way, some of the applications, they are designed in such a way that they make you addictive. I have seen people spending huge amount of their time behind social media. They are wasting their career, they are wasting their time. And this addiction, or there are some research that are pointing that this addiction or this usage of some of the social media apps are providing pleasure to the same area of our mind which gets entertained when we take any sort of banned substances like cocaine and heroin. So can you imagine, these people are playing, or the economic system is all about exploiting people, exploiting. They don't care whether what will happen with your life. We see there are so many breakups between many couples because of too much use of smartphone. And it may sound a bit weird, you may think that what I'm talking about, but in fact you would be surprised to know that in country like Japan, no one is ready to date anyone, no one is ready to get into any sort of relationship. So are we missing something? Are we, as a human being, we are missing some of the very basic and natural things, isn't it? So this is a sort of culture that we are seeing around the world, and it is definitely, it is not an open violence, but there is a sort of violence hidden in this thing as well. And when we talk about women empowerment, we are doing many things as well, but we never think that the biggest threat, right, the biggest threat to women, and if you go back to the history then as well, you find that it is the men lot, right? Men are the biggest threat to women so far. No death, like all the deaths, all the pain and all the suffering that has happened to women, the root cause is men itself. So this is the thing, caste system, we know how it is still working here. Our constitution considers every one of us equal, but still we have all these things. And when it comes to economy or the economic model of Gandhiji, because we have talked about human model, then you would say that what about the economy, how we would run the whole show? See, Gandhiji was not anti-technology. In fact, Charkha is a part of technology. He used to travel in train and other things. In fact, the clothes that we wear are also a product of technology, isn't it? So he was not anti-technology. What he used to say is that, or what he used to believe, and which is right as well, because we are doing this sort of, we are following this sort of things directly or indirectly. I'll give you some example as well. What he promoted, he said that there should be decentralization of manufacturing. What does it mean? It means that if you are producing groundnuts at village level, then the packaging and extracting oil out of it should be done at the village level itself. Because if you do this thing, then the benefits are that people will not have to leave their family, and they don't have to leave their house and their friends. They can live happily with their family. They will be more productive if they are happy. This is proven by many human resource theories as well. The other thing is that if you do all this packaging and things at the ground level, at the village level, then you are adding value to this raw material. By adding value, you would be able to earn more out of it. And once you earn more out of it, you are bringing prosperity to the countryside. So migration from rural area to urban area will stop as well. And when I say, I will give you examples. So here is the example of Pura. Pura stands for providing urban amenities to rural area. This whole project was the concept was given by Abdul Kalam. Then you have Sampada. Recently we have launched a scheme. Government of India has launched a scheme called sampada, and sampada is all about producing or processing things at village level, and making more cold chains and storage facilities so that poor people can make something out of it. Then government has also decided to give minimum support price for forest produce, and this MSP on forest produce will help the people, the forest dwellers, because and also government is going to help them set up some sort of packaging and processing. So after removing seeds of some items or some fruits or some flowers, normally which is sold at 40 rupees per kilo, they would be earning 120 rupees per kilo. So you can see that they will earn more if this decentralized manufacturing is adopted. Government of India is adopting, or it is trying to implement this thing, and this was the concept, economic policy of Gandhiji. He also said that machines and technology. See, at present what is happening is, give you an example of Adidas. Now Adidas was used to have its plant in Germany. Then it decided to utilize this economy of scale. That means to produce as cheaply as possible. They set up their factory in China, and now they have designed, or they have got access to a sort of highly technological automatic machine or factory, in which with just few button, if you press few buttons, you would be able to produce shoes. So you won't require labors at all. So now everything is going back. The production of Adidas is going back to Germany. So many people are going to lose the job in China, and this is all happening because we know that on the one side the health of people has improved a lot because of development of science and technology in medical field, and the other side we have all these machines. So these machines are designed in such a way that you don't require human hands at all, and this is the biggest issue. Gandhiji used to say that we need machines and technology, no doubt, but they should be designed in such a way that human hands do not become useless. There should be some role of human beings as well with this in operating this machine. This will keep them engaged, this will keep them healthy as well. They will find a sense of joy in working on these machines. And machines basically came in, or if you go back to the industrial revolution, then you find that at that point of time people were not that healthy, or the life expectancy was somewhere around 35 years of age, and because of this thing and other diseases, there was a sort of the population was down at that point of time. Today it is quite stable. We are seeing that we can survive anywhere we like in this planet. Even in the driest area of Atacama, human beings can survive there. So now we have all these things that can support life. So what we don't need this sort of high-end technologies. Of course the production should be of good quality, but it should have a role of human beings as well. And if we keep on designing this sort of machines, then it is going to be detrimental. They are going to replace, and robots are coming out. There are many countries, like rather than bringing people from Africa and other countries, younger countries like Ethiopia, what Japan or other countries are doing is they are producing robots, and robots are serving tea, and robots are looking after older people and things like that. So this is very dangerous, and this is basically making production more centralized, rather than making it more decentralized. So this was economic policy of Gandhiji. And lastly, dear friends, it was in 1972, Arne Naess, he was a Norwegian philosopher, and during Third World Future Congress, he said that he is inspired by the ideals and principles of Mahatma Gandhi. This man, this Arne, he gave the word ecosophy. Ecosophy basically means that all living creatures have right to life, and no one can snatch it away from them. No one means no one. Human beings cannot snatch away the right of plants and animals and different species of flora and fauna. We have no right at all to destroy their life, right? He also believed, and which I'm sure you will agree with this thing as well, that a want for, not a need, but a want. Needs are necessities, but wants are desires. So want for a high lifestyle is putting immense pressure on Mother Nature, and we are giving too much emphasis on GDP, and we are not focusing on the other areas, and this is one of the root cause of all the problem. And Arne is a well celebrated person, and imagine he was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. And United Nation as well, it has even United Nation has rightly identified that celebrating 2nd October is not only about paying tribute to Mahatma Gandhi as celebrating it as an International Non-Violence Day, but they know that the problems, the violence and the other issues through which we are going through, it is the path that was shown by Mahatma Gandhi. That is the only path that can help us to come out of this situation. Dear friends, in our country we have a sort of tradition of worshipping individuals. We worship those individuals who were against all this sort of worshipping. Buddha is considered one of the most atheist person who has ever walked on this earth. He strongly opposed the practice of worshipping, and he in fact gave his more emphasis was on his teachings. If you go through his teaching, you will find that reason and logic were given emphasis, right? It was at the heart of Buddha's teaching. Mahavira, he was one of the finest person who has lived in tune with nature, and it is also said that Gandhiji was highly inspired from Mahavira. Bhagat Singh, right? Bhagat Singh used to, if you go through his work and his life then as well, you will find that he was against all these rituals and all this outer glitteriness. He was not for it at all. He was all about developing inner conscience and how one can liberate from within self. And Gandhiji, we know it very well that Gandhiji was a sort of revolutionary in his own term. It is not that only Bhagat Singh and other people are revolutionary. Gandhiji was a revolutionary as well, because revolution is a state of mind. It is not a physical revolution, right? It is a state of mind, and once mind is the place where you have all the seeds. All the changes that you want to make is coming from the mind itself. So Gandhiji, whatever he has said and the way things are going on around the world, we see that even the government of India nowadays is going ahead with this decentralization of production or economy, the climate change and the other issues of violence through which we are going through. We can safely say that Gandhiji, the philosophy, the ideas and the principle that Gandhiji provided to us will or is working, and it is if not the best, it could be one of the good option that we have in our hand at present. But the only thing we have to do is we have to stop worshipping Gandhiji as a showpiece of temple. We have to take the work he has done, we have to take his work to an altogether different level. Then and only we would be able to save our planet. With this, dear friends, I end this discussion. I believe that with the help of this discussion, you might have came across many good ideas, and it will help you in your prelims, your mains, and your interview. Do let me know how you what you think about this version, and don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and pass your valuable comment. With this, I end this discussion. I'll see you all soon. Till then, enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.